Welcome to FRC Media News for Thursday, December 20th, 2018. I'm Keith Tebow. There's been plenty of developments in the recall of Fall River Mayor Jaziel Correa. We'll have an update. And Congressman Joe Kennedy tells us how a Democratic majority in Congress will impact Fall River. But first, let's check in with the news headlines of the week. We bring in Will Richmond, the digital editor at the Fall River Herald News. Will, welcome.
Thanks, Keith. Good to see you again.
Boy, there is a lot going on with the recall of Mayor Jaziel Correa. Let's first recap. Last week at this time, we had the story that the Fall River Office of Elections had certified over 4,000 signatures to get the recall process moving forward. Since that time, last Friday, late in the day last Friday, Mayor Correa filed a formal objection to the recall process with the city clerk. Now, Will, the mayor had, 2 days to respond to the recall petition to file an objection, and he did so literally, 5 minutes before the deadline? Is that correct?
Yeah, he waited right until 4:55 with the office closing at 5 o'clock to file that objection, doing it on last Friday afternoon. So he waited, and that even came just a couple hours after he made a post on Facebook asking for people to look over the signatures and let him know if any names belong to people who felt they did not sign the petition.
So following that on Friday, the petition was then forwarded to the city clerk's office. The clerk's office then forwarded it to the city council, which had the obligation at that point to, according to the city charter, to give the mayor 5 days to resign from office. If not, a recall election would be set. Now, as we move forward to the city council agenda on Tuesday night, there was some interesting developments as during the debate or before the debate on the item of alerting the mayor of the recall petition and asking him to resign, a new law firm representing the mayor presented a letter to the city council citing the objections that it has in terms of the city council moving forward. What were some of those objections?
Yeah, basically the objection was that because the mayor had filed an objection to the recall signatures, that should put a hold on the process. Essentially, the feeling was that the council cannot take action on the petition because of the objection from the mayor regarding the signatures, and that the objection regarding the signatures had to be determined before the city council could then take action.
So one of the things that the mayor has mentioned, and he had an interview earlier this week on the Fall River Reporter through Facebook, again, he's done those a number of times, was that this is not specific to the complaint before the city council, but he is questioning the validity of the process by which the Board of Elections actually certified the signatures. He's mentioning that, in fact, that the signatures should be matched up against what's on file in terms of a voter's signature. That has to be debated. But he's also questioning in the complaint before the city council that, in fact, the Board of Elections may not, as a board, have adequately certified this process. Is that correct?
Yeah, he's kind of just rolling out as many possible objections as possible, it sounds. He's also raised question as to whether or not the signatures could be gathered by people other than the 10 original signers of the recall petition. So it looks like he is just kind of taking a stab at any possible mechanism possible to hold up the process.
Now, what ended up happening at the city council meeting was the city council took a break. City Council President Cliff Ponte met with Corporation Counsel Joe Macy about the letter. But when the council came back in session, they voted unanimously to ask that Mayor Correa have 5 days to resign from office, or the recall process would move forward. Is there any indication as to whether the city council may move forward on the next step in terms of setting a recall election date as early as next week around this time?
Yeah, the response from the council to receiving that letter was, we are moving forward as we believe we're instructed to by the charter. We aren't going to let this letter hold us up in any ways. And they voted unanimously ultimately to set that 5-day schedule, and the mayor has until the end of business on December 26th to notify the council, of whether he would resign or not, and then it's in the council's hands after that.
Do we know whether the council is looking at setting a date to meet even a week from now on the 27th or 28th, even though it is a holiday week? Do we know if that will take place, or will it happen maybe after the new year?
Yeah, at this point, there's been no indication of a meeting being set for next week to immediately follow that December 26th deadline. So it may be something they address with their first regular meeting in January.
In the meantime, we mentioned that the mayor officially objected to the Board of Elections. They're planning to meet, I believe, on his objection. When is that going to be taking place?
That takes place tonight on
Right.
Thursday at 7 o'clock. So that will be sort of the procedural beginning of the objection process.
Now, have any of the reporters there, either yourself or Joe Good, had the opportunity to either ask the mayor or his new attorney that is involved in this objection whether they plan to pursue this item in court if either the Board of Election decision doesn't fall in their favor or anything else doesn't fall in their favor? Do you think they plan to move forward in court?
To this point, we've received no indication on that, and so it might be a matter of what happens with the Board of Elections meeting, and sort of as the process plays out, we'll see what those next steps are.
Definitely a lot of balls in the air as we move forward at the end of 2019, and we will continue to follow that. Moving on to the issue concerning the City of Fall River and the Bristol County Economic Development Consultants. As we know, a few weeks ago, the Redevelopment Authority decided to end its contract with the BC EDC and terminate the contract with Ken Fiola and that organization. Well, earlier this week, Mr. Fiola and two other city residents filed a petition citing that the Redevelopment Authority violated the open meeting law in its decision. What is that complaint about?
Yeah, so this goes back to that meeting the Friday before Thanksgiving week when, Ken Fiola was terminated by the RDA. Basically, they're saying that the meeting and that vote was held improperly, that no indication was placed on the agenda of this possible action taking place, and that the vote should be invalid and have to be retaken. So
Mr. Fiola and the other two residents are not necessarily asking for the contract to be reinstated, just that the Redevelopment Authority acted improperly via the open meeting law in casting this vote. Is that correct?
That's correct, yes.
In another open meeting law violation, potentially, there are some supporters of Diamond Regional Vocational Superintendent Director Tom Albin. They have filed a complaint against the Diamond Regional School Committee that they have violated the open meeting law in their decision not to renew the contract of Superintendent Director Albin. What's the basis of this complaint?
Yeah, this one, there's a couple facets in terms of how, if the committee had come to a predetermination on their decision regarding the superintendent there, they've sort of pointed out a couple of times that a prepared statement was already ready and to be handed out to media that had attended the meeting. As well, there's a question about a lack of public input and that type of stuff appearing on the agenda as well.
Now, concerning open meeting law violations and their presence in court, is there a time frame by which this needs to be heard? I mean, obviously, if there is something that is egregious that needs to be rectified, I would think this would need to take place in a shorter period of time, correct?
Yeah, what tends to happen with open meeting complaints is, they're given to the board that's alleged to have violated the Open Meeting Act first. That board then is supposed to make their own determination on whether or not they believe they violated the open meeting law. And then after that takes place, if they say they didn't, the filer then can appeal to the Attorney General's office and seek a review from that office as well. So, I mean, there is a process here that plays out, and it's, there's no specific time frames as it involves, both the complainer and the board that's being alleged to have violated the act
Do you
their approach to it and that kind of thing. So.
Do you happen to know when the next meetings of the Redevelopment Authority and the Diamond School Committee will be taking place, where these may come up?
I'm not sure on the Redevelopment Authority, but the Diamond Board actually met late this morning to accept the complaints.
Okay.
And from our reporter who was there, my understanding is that 2 more complaints were also filed with the Diamond Board, along with the original 3, but those 2 won't be accepted until their regular January meeting.
All right, so definitely a lot happening in terms of appeals and complaints against bodies of here within the city of Fall River, School Committee and the Redevelopment Authority. Finally this week, Will, I want to talk a little bit about the Chamber of Commerce, the Bristol County Chamber of Commerce, and the South Coast Chamber of Commerce today sent out the press release talking about the development of a task force which may consider the merging of some of the services between the 2 institutions. I know this has been talked about years ago. It looks like this is another effort to maybe merge the 2 institutions, or at least sort of talk about where there may be some integration of some services.
Yeah, certainly. I had an opportunity to meet with the 2 CEOs earlier today, and they're describing this as a potential integration of the 2. They're saying there'd be no staff losses, but really an opportunity to create a larger entity that could benefit their members better, serve as a better lobbying force in Boston and even at the national level, while also creating a better opportunity for companies across the region to network with each other and conduct business without sort of operating in these separate silos that existed around the old sort of Fall River and New Bedford concepts.
Well, according to the press release, the task force will begin meeting soon, with the expectation of a recommendation coming out from the task force sometime in June of 2019. So it'll be interesting to follow the machinations of that process as it moves forward. Will, normally at this time we talk about what's going to be happening at the Herald News, but I'd like to shift gears and actually talk about what's going to be happening with Will Richmond. This is going to be Will's last appearance on our program, and actually one of Will's last days working for the Herald News. Will has been hired to be the new editor of the Newport Daily News. That newspaper also owned by the Herald News owner, Gatehouse Media. Will, first of all, congratulations, and you're going to be the head honcho over there, aren't you?
Yeah, it was a great opportunity to kind of get back. I'm a Rhode Island guy, so puts me back in the Ocean State after 14 years here in Fall River, so it's an opportunity I'm really looking forward to.
Well, I know that a lot of people that I've spoken to who we've both dealt with appreciate your work at the Herald News. I'm sure the Herald News does as well. I'm sure they're going to be missing your experience over there, and we want to thank you here at FRC Media for your cooperation with this show over the past 2+ years, and we wish you all the best. So Will, have a great holiday season. We wish you the best in Newport, and I'm sure our paths will cross in the future. Thank you very much.
I appreciate it, Keith. It's certainly a bittersweet moment, and same with you guys. It's been great working with you and the entire staff over there. You guys have helped us out with a lot of projects over the years, so I can't thank you guys enough, and wish everyone there a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year as well.
All right, well, take care. We'll have more FRC Media News right after this.
Here are some job descriptions on the latest hot jobs list from the Mass Hire Fall River Career Center. Human Resources Finance Assistant. Stepping Stone Incorporated, located at 279 North Main Street, is in need of a full-time Human Resources Finance Assistant to assist with recruiting, training, administration, accounts payable, receivable, and bookkeeping. Job number 115-25411. Bus Monitors. The Fall River YMCA, located at 199 North Main Street, has an immediate need for full-time bus monitors to supervise children on the bus after school, taking attendance and interaction with school personnel. Job number 115-11921. Automotive Technician. Sullivan Tire, located at 456 Rodman Street, is looking for a full-time, experienced automotive technician to repair automobiles and perform routine vehicle maintenance. Job number 115-22178. Walgreens, located at 328 Rhode Island Avenue, is looking to fulfill the following full and part-time positions. Pharmacy technician, job number 115-23277. Shift supervisor, job number 115-14606. The Sarah S. Brayton Nursing Center, located at 4901 North Main Street, is looking to fulfill the following part-time positions. Certified Nursing Assistant, job number 115-21971. Licensed Practical Nurse, job number 115-27430. For more information on these or other positions, visit masshiredjobquest.detma.org or call the Mass Hire Fall River Career Center at 508-730-5000.
Welcome back. If a recall election is held in Fall River, one city resident plans to run for the top spot. Kyle Riley says he's no stranger to politics.
I really felt like I was on the school committee and city council 16 years ago, that I had to reintroduce myself out to the community. I've been involved in the community through youth soccer, youth basketball, youth baseball, but really felt like it was an opportunity for me to introduce myself to the community and then get going. So if it was a recall, I was definitely running in it. If it wasn't a recall, I was going to run anyway.
One of the things that Mayor Correa wanted to do and did start was getting rid, for lack of a better word, FROED. What's your feeling on that whole divide?
I watched the meeting like everybody else. I then took the opportunity to sit down with Ken Fiola when he came back to hear what he had to say about it, and really trying to piece through that myself. And I'll gather more information as we go. I'm not sure why they had a divide, but I do know that we've had no economic development for about a year and a half now, and that can't go on. We need to do the work of the people, and we have to bring new companies in here to make sure that we're doing the right thing by the citizens of Fall River.
I can't let you go without asking that. I can't. The good old purple bags.
Yeah.
What's your feeling on that?
Yeah, my initial feeling on that is it's in place right now. It's $2.1 million revenue. The trash fees are not getting cheaper. They're going to go up. The economy right now is in good shape. And so it's easy to say we'd get rid of them and we'd be okay, but in 3 or 4 years when the economy dips, we'd be looking at trying to fill that void again. So they're in place. It helps us. My 8-year-old on the way home was saying, Dad, you know, they talk about purple bags. We were listening to Wayne Rigo's show, and he said, they're purple bags. I know you have to go find them somewhere, but doesn't it help the environment? And I think that's a piece that we don't talk a lot about. Like, we're recycling. As a family of 8, we fill 2 recycling bins to the top every single week. I'm not sure, honestly, that I'd be there if I didn't have the purple bags to drive me to do that. So it's become routine in our house. We're recycling like crazy, and we do have 1 trash bag bin full as well with purple bags. So it definitely has driven us as a family in Fall River to recycle more and to do the right thing. So I think it has multiple things that it helps us out with, both the revenue, but also being environmentally friendly.
Congressman Joseph Kennedy was the guest speaker at a recent Bristol County Chamber of Commerce event at the Fall River Country Club. Sponsored by South Coast Hospital Group, Kennedy said one of his most pressing issues is to help find ways to ease the financial burdens of lower middle-income class families.
A full-time minimum wage worker cannot afford a 2-bedroom apartment anywhere in our country, in any single state. Low-income families spend half of their monthly income on childcare. 1 in 4 American families will skip doctor's visits this year because of the fear of the size of the bill that will come after that stop. This, in a time when an average publicly traded CEO of a publicly traded company makes 361 times more than their average worker. And at a time when, after the tax bill that was passed without a single Democratic amendment, without a single Democratic idea incorporated into the bill, that helped facilitate $1.3 trillion in stock buybacks by major public companies. $1.3 trillion. When half of Americans don't own a single stock. $1.3 trillion back to shareholders and equity holders. When the workers get essentially
We'll have more FRC Media News right after this.
Welcome to Forever Paws. Right here we have S'mores. She is a Chihuahua Dachshund mix, and she is 3 years old. She was a surrender. She does do good with other dogs, and she also does good with children. She's very sweet, and she's playful. She does have quite a good amount of energy. But she's very content when you just sit there and hold her. If you want to come down and meet her, come down to Forever Paws. We are located at 300 Linwood Street, Fall River. Come down and meet S'mores.
Today we have Blythe. Blythe here is a 5-year-old kitty. He's very, very sweet, as you can probably tell. A very chill cat. He likes to hang out until someone comes around, then he comes over and he greets them. He actually arrived here with a group of other cats. He was in a condemned house. But surprisingly, even though they were there by themselves, all of them were very well adjusted, as you can tell. He's just very sweet. So he'd do well not only by himself, but he'd also do well with other cats. If you have other cats in your home already, he's very well accustomed to others. So if you'd like to meet Blythe here, you can come down to 300 Linwood Street in Fall River, Massachusetts at Forever Paws Animal Shelter.
Lafayette Durfee House in Fall River is finally reaping the benefits of federal money that was used to refurbish the museum's historic fireplaces. One recent event held at the site focused on how residents in the 18th century made their own hot chocolate luxury dessert.
Which was something that was kind of very savored and a special drink. I mean, it was very expensive for the people at the time. And as we all love chocolate nowadays, to appreciate the beginnings and how much work was put into producing something as simple as hot chocolate. So what I'm showing here today is the actual, from the cacao pod to the steps right down to the actual preparation over the fire. Lots of steps involved, of course. I can't show it all, but I try to show as much as I possibly can so people can get a good idea of what it took and actually be able to taste the 18th century. I'm getting that chocolate, I'm chopping it up, I'm adding spices to it like cloves, cinnamon, cayenne pepper, whatever you would like. I even have star anise that I throw in the milk to spice the milk up. It's quite a very nice taste to it, and add a little bit of vanilla. It's all on your taste. It's all what you like and what you have in your cupboard. That's how it was in the 18th century.
Talk a little bit about the importance of the hearth.
Well, I mean, the hearth was it. I mean, if you wanted to cook, you not only cooked, you would do clean. You would have to heat your water here. You would have to do a lot of that stuff here in the house. It was the focal point of the house, and the lady of the house probably took very much pride in this part of the house.
So tell us about the CPA funding.
Well, without the CPA funding, we would never ever have restored our fireplaces and our cooking hearth. We received a grant for $224,000 last year, and with the aids of historic architects, masons, and carpenters, we were able to get the fireplaces working again. They're all functional. We have 4 fireplaces and a cooking hearth in this building. They were all, the original ones that were here were redone in 1970s, but they didn't work. They were not efficient. They produced a lot of smoke in the building. So from the chimney on down to the foundation, it was demolished and then rebuilt using the CPA funding.
That'll do it for this edition of FRC Media News. You can catch FRC Media News Thursdays and Fridays at 6 p.m. and online at our website, frcmedianews.org. One note, next week, please join us for a special edition of FRC Media News as we look back at the news events in Fall River for 2018. For all of us here at FRC Media News, I'm Keith Tebow. Have a great week. Merry Christmas. We'll see you next Thursday.